Okay, I got Walt with me, and he's got a Pancho Villa story for me. So with that, Walt, take it away.
Sure. This was in the early 80s. I met a friend of mine, or I met a guy in Dallas. He had owned a Mexican restaurant in North Dallas. And we hit it off pretty good because we were both Dallas Cowboy fans. And at the time, I was working as a contracting engineer for Shell Oil Company. We hit it off pretty good. We watched football games in his Mexican restaurant and over a beverage and whatnot. And he started to tell me about a friend of his that lived in Dallas. I think he said he was 89 years old. But the 89-year-old man supplied money and paid for a gentleman's medicine because he was very sick. And come to find out, the gentleman that he took in was paying his medical bills and his medicine for was actually one of Pancho Villa's generals.
Wow.
His name was General Adamas. General Adamas, before he died, drew a map for my friend in Dallas, whose name was Victor. He asked my friend to go get him a bunch of colored pencils. So the general drew a landscape and mountain range in old Mexico, south of Chihuahua, down around the city of Delicias and Camargo and Jimenez, etc. He drew the map and gave it to my friend for repayment of paying back all the medical expenses and the medication expenses. He gave that to him. Frankie, he kept hold of the map for a couple of more years and finally decided to tell his buddy Victor, who was my friend who owned the Mexican restaurant, about it. And then Victor told me about it because he knew I was a treasure hunter. So I looked at the map and studied it, and working in Chihuahua, I knew a lot of the places that was on the map. So I asked him if I could take it and make a photocopy of it. He said no, because it was entrusted to him. And if that's the way it is, that's the way it is with me. So he let me see the map for 30 minutes, and I memorized the whole map. So it's up here. Hopefully it's up there somewhere. But about 6 months later, I took a trip down, and I was following all the landmarks, finding all the old haciendas. And when I came to something that was on the map, I would check it off. And I'm saying to myself, okay, the general had to be here because he wouldn't have known about this hacienda and this hacienda. And they call a large lake down there a boquilla. And I found the boquilla lake that he was talking about. I found the mountain range. I found where he drew on the map, agua para ganado, it means water for cattle. I found a couple of old rock homesteads that was on his map. I found the path that goes in from the desert over into Camargo, the old horse path and a wagon path. I found that, and at the very end of the map, on the south end, he drew 3 triangles. They were 3 mountains in close proximity to each other, and he had it labeled as Grand Desert, Large Desert. And so I went to the library and I started to research there. I speak Spanish fairly well, so I started researching that, and I found these 3 mountains that he was talking about in the topography. I rented a vehicle and I went down to try to find these 3 triangle mountains. I found 2 of them, but I couldn't find the other one. And according to the map, it should have been with 2 miles of the other 2, but I couldn't find it. But this particular mountain that I'm looking for, Pancho Villa, General Adamas, and 12 Mexicans, I guess you'd call them bandits, stashed 72 bags of gold coins inside this mountain. And ironically, the Indians way back used to use it to live in and cook in, because there was a hole in the top of this hill that the smoke went out, okay, the draft. So General Adamas and Pancho Villa killed everyone, put them inside the cave with the 72 bags of, they were gold, $20 gold pieces they robbed from the Union Army. Once they had everyone inside, dead, of course, they blew the entrance shut. Now, if I knew of someone down in that part of the area, you know, I would definitely let them have the information. But the other information that the General Adamas gave was there was enough room on this mountaintop. There was a mesa that you could put 40 horses on, and then it went back into the cave, and that's what they blew shut. But a mesa or a flat would have to be fairly large to hold 40 horses, I would think. But I looked and I looked and I looked, and I could not find that anywhere. Huh. But everything else on the map was dead on, according to the way he drew it and he said where it was. So I have no doubt that it's there, but you know, I wouldn't go back there now with the drug cartels for nothing. You know, because it's south of Chihuahua about 2 hours. So I wouldn't take a chance on that. But if I knew someone down there now that would actually go look for it, shoot, I'd help them out for sure.
I probably know somebody down there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what I know about that one.
Well, with that said, Walt, man, thank you. And that's a wrap. Yep.